Hi, so as Monica introduced me, my name is Tyler Mahomes. And so, just a little bit about myself. I'm a senior at Bishop Montgomery High School in Torrance. What I do there, I play baseball. I'm on the varsity team. I'm a pitcher, I'm left handed. I also run cross country there. And I'm also involved in a few clubs. I'm president of Green Team, which I founded this year, and Speech and Debate, which is a lot of fun. But I also really enjoy helping in the confirmation program. This is my second year being a team leader, and I always enjoy interacting with all of you and hearing your guys' stories. So, and I also work at Noah's Bagels, so if you're ever in downtown Manhattan Beach on the weekend, you can come and say hi. I might give you something free, but if you don't tell my boss. So I'm just gonna get right into it. I'm gonna probably sit down a little bit because I feel like I'm talking down to you a little bit. So, have any of you guys ever heard of Pascal's wager? Anybody? I see a few hands. So, basically, Pascal's wager is an argument in philosophy that basically says that humans make a bet with themselves to either believe in God or to not. And so, while I was sitting in the same chairs as you guys in Sealed One, half bored, half I don't want to go to mass, I'd rather be hanging out with friends or playing video games. Somebody actually told me this, and it really resonated with me as I was a Sealed One candidate. And so I think maybe in part of that just idea led me to be here to talk to you guys today. So it's a very important concept that I really want to share with you. So basically the idea or argument is a rational person should live as though God exists and seeks to believe in God. If God does exist, such a person will only have or if he doesn't exist, a person will only have a finite loss, and whereas he stands to receive infinite gains and avoid infinite losses. So basically what that's saying is that we should live our lives as though God exists because of all the great things we can gain. So living a great disciple-like life, having good virtues, being able to go to heaven, stuff like that, and we'll avoid bad things like going to hell, stuff like that. And so the whole idea is if God doesn't exist, which, well, we don't believe that as Catholics, but if he doesn't exist, there's no harm nor foul. We lived a great life. We were great people, right? So just starting off with that idea that if we live our lives with God in our life, no matter what kind of doubts we have, we are setting ourselves up to have a great life in general. So besides Pascal's wager, I also believe in God because I need something to believe in. I think we all do. I mean, otherwise, there's no real meaning of life if God's not there, if there's not some greater plan for us. I mean, science can only go so far. There are things, I know a lot of you probably are like, oh, well, the Bible tells us the world was created in 7 days, and now there's science, and the world was not created like that, or whatever kind of belief we have to think about science and religion actually can mix, if you really think about it, because science can only go so far in proving things. So without going on a long tangent, just a little simple idea. So we were all born from our moms, right? And we're all something. And we couldn't have just born ourselves. Something had to happen for us to get here, right? Yeah? Yes, I would hope so, right? You guys were all born by your moms, yeah? Yes, okay, cool. So, if you weren't, that's another, okay. But, so, something cannot come from nothing. And if we think about this on a very broad scale, like our universe, we can't just come from nothing. Something had to happen to make us, or to make everything. So I believe that something is God. And so that means that, well, even after starting to believe in God from those two ideas, just those very basic ideas without needing proof or seeing God in person, it really helped getting some of my doubts lifted. But I still found it difficult to relive my life with God in it, because I think as teens, we have friends who are atheists, we have friends who believe different things than us, and it's kind of hard to be oh, I'm the Catholic one in the group. You don't want to do that, and I think we tend to hide our faith from our friends. And to be honest with you, if you have friends who don't accept you because you're Catholic, or you have friends that if you said something oh, I pray, and they're you pray, they're not really your friends. I mean, I feel like your friends need to accept you for however you are, whatever beliefs you have. I mean, going to a private school, I have friends that are Catholic, I have friends that are agnostic, I have friends that are atheists. But no matter what our beliefs are, we all respect each other, and that's what makes them my true friends. So faith and belief in God is not something that we gain overnight. It takes time and effort. And I mean, I still have to see how God works in my life. It's not easy for me to be like, oh yes, I'm devoted every single day of the year. No, I mean, things happen in my life where I'm like, why, God? Like, why did you do this to me? There's many times where I'm like, oh, like, I have so many doubts, like, this can't be real, like, let me just live my life. But at the end of the day, you have to find God, because even in trying to put effort into finding God really helps your life. So right now, in my life, I'm a senior in high school, and that's a lot of work right now. So I'm actually working on a research paper. It's 8 to 10 pages on a 14-line poem, which is not a lot to work with. And basically, the poem I'm analyzing and writing an essay on is about a man who talks about all these people who have material wealth and all these really great things, but they're not really happy. He's the only one happy because he has love in his life. And that's a big concept, because I've always thought of God as he gives us permanent love, he gives us permanent happiness. If you really think about it, how many people here, just by show of hands, have an iPhone? All right, like most, if not all of you. I mean, I have a Samsung, so you don't hate me, but I mean, when you get a new phone, doesn't it make you happy? Like, you get a new phone, you have a new thing to play with, but it makes you happy. But like, if you waited 2 years from now, would you be happy with your old phone, or would you want the new one with like 3D printing on it, like, or something crazy? I mean, it brought you happiness, but at some point, that happiness has gone away because you want the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. And that's how everything in life is. It's, you want the newest car, the newest phone, the newest product, whatever you want. It brings you temporary happiness, but you always need to replace it with something. It doesn't fulfill you. But God is different. He brings you permanent happiness. And it's not something you need to buy every 2 years. It's not like a subscription. It's something that you get whether you really want it or not. He's always there. He'll always give you that permanent happiness and love. So when I was in Sealed One about 3 years ago, I had a very rocky relationship with God. I did the whole SRE thing, like I'm sure many of you guys have done, but quite frankly, I really did not like God. I didn't like to go to church. I thought it was a waste of time for me. I had better things to do. I was playing basketball every day, so I didn't want to be here. I wanted to go practice. And I was basically the brand statement of I need to see it to believe it. Because I feel like that's really hard. Like this big concept of God, but we don't see him. Like I can't be like, God, show me rockets. Like, no, it doesn't happen. No fireworks. It's something that we have to practice. We can't really see it in person. So it was really difficult for me to find my faith, because I just wanted something I could grasp. And so I was always asking God for things. I was never listening. I would sit in my room and be like, God, if you're real, let me get an A. Or God, if you're real, let me win Six Flags tickets. But I was always asking for things and never letting him sort of show me like where he is in my life. And so when I went on my retreat, which you guys will go on a little bit like later, maybe in a year or so, I experienced adoration. And basically adoration is where you sit quietly, kind of what we did earlier, except you're in the presence of God. And it's this very powerful thing. And I really felt God in that moment. And I experienced something like I can't really put into words, but my body felt tingly, and I was like crying. It was this very crazy thing that happened, and that's when I really first saw God in my life. And I didn't really see anything, but I felt him. And then I started realizing that I didn't need to see God like himself, but I saw God in other people. I saw God in my fellow team leaders who like to help you guys. I saw God in Monica, who does this, takes a lot of effort to put this all together. I saw God in all the leaders around us. It was not him himself, but I saw him through people and in actions. And so I know that this retreat thing it's not going to happen for you guys until like a year from now. So I want to start talking about some things that you guys can do like on the daily just to strengthen your relationship with God. So earlier we did that whole sitting and meditating, taking some deep breaths, just centering ourselves. That's something we could do every day. I mean, just saying like a little quick prayer before you go to sleep, or just taking like 2 minutes, if that, just to sit in peace and just reflect on your day and see how God's worked through other people, through your lives, will help you to strengthen your relationship with God. And you want to really take advantage of just being at peace and allowing yourself to see that God is in your lives. And even if you don't see it like that, you're putting effort into it, which is going to make your lives better. So, I know many of you guys here probably are still doubting God, or probably think I'm like, this is like a boring speech. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm trying my best here, but I just want you guys to all know that doubting is actually really great. Because I mean, everybody doubts. I don't think there's one person who's like, God is real, I don't need anything for that to be true. And so I want you guys to all take advantage of the leaders you have here and ask them questions. I mean, a lot of us have things we're still questioning about God, or just, I mean, I know when we do these little activities, sometimes we say the textbook answers, like, I drew a cross because God reminds me of a cross. But there's things that we have that we're questioning that we just need to ask somebody. And you have leaders here who really want to get to know you and really want to answer your questions. So please take advantage of that. Don't just sit here with your, just talk to your friends. You can do that, but really ask them questions, because they're really here for you. I want you guys all to know that we're all here for you. So there's a scripture verse, I'm about to close, in saying that blessed are those who see without believing. The those in that sentence is us. We're the people who believe in God without physically seeing him. And I'm sure, as all leaders would say, that's extremely difficult. We all have our doubts. We all have times where it's hard to believe in God. But when you gain that belief, your life changes for the better. I have gained so many great, true friends, like my fellow team leaders. I mean, I wouldn't have met these people if I didn't put the effort into these classes. And these are some really amazing people that I'll probably talk to for the rest of my life. So I want you guys to all put effort in and just be the main thing I want you guys to get from my talk is interact, be open, put effort into this. This feels like it's gonna take a long time, but this is a very quick 2 years. I mean, you meet once a month. For this 2-hour period, just be open, talk, put effort into it. Because when you get out of it, it's amazing. And at the end of the day, every one of us is made to know, love, and serve God. And I mean, once again, this is much easier said than done, but it's extremely important. Faith is something we work on constantly. But the most important thing at the end of the day, no matter what, if your faith is extremely strong or it's weak and you're doubting, God will always choose you and love you. It's just a matter of whether you choose to love him back. Thank you.